going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Pazza podcast. We are here after a big 2-1 victory for Inter over Sassuolo, a team that traditionally, the cliche thing to say is Sassuolo is our bogey team. It's a team that 2 years ago when we won the Scudetto under Simone Inzaghi, the only team we lost to was Sassuolo, and we lost to them twice that season. And traditionally, over years past, it is a team, regardless of home or away, we have somehow found a way to struggle against Sassuolo. But Inter this time did suffer a little bit, especially towards the end of the match, but comes away from the San Siro with a 2-1 victory on the back end of a week that saw us beat Ajax 2-0 midweek in the Champions League as well. Getting a string of results is definitely huge for this squad going forward. So we're going to talk about this match against Sassuolo and then end with what we got moving forward and what we need to see potentially from this club. It was a midweek, like I said, match against Ajax that prompted 4 changes from Kivu for this lineup against Sassuolo. Most notably, the change coming in goal, Jan Sommer sitting in the first league match he has set this season, making way for Pep Martinez, the backup that we spent 15 million on not this past summer, but the summer before from Genoa. Manuel Ikanji regains his spot in the side. Acerbi comes back into the squad, replacing De Vrij, who played great midweek for Ajax. Carlos Augusto steps in for Alessandro Bastoni. Then we have not Danilo D'Ambrosio. I put DD here for Denzel Dumfries, and for whatever reason, my mind goes straight to D'Ambrosio whenever I see DD. Dumfries, Barella, Hakan, and then Sucic comes into the midfield, replacing Mkhitaryan. I think a move that should have excited a lot of Interisti coming into this match. Di Marco regains his place in the left wing back, and then we have Thuram and Pio with Lautaro nursing that back fatigue and not being fully fit after the international break. We see Pio coming back into the side to replace Lautaro. So, decently strong squad against a side that's been struggling so far this year in Serie A, the Serie B champions from last year, Sassuolo. Definitely have some quality. If you're an Inter fan for a long time, you know anytime that Domenico Berardi comes into either Milan or we go to Sassuolo to play against that guy, he always produces some sort of magic. So that, obviously, the danger player, no matter how old he gets, he's still going to produce a class display against Inter. And then, of course, Pinamonti, it always seems like a former Inter player comes in and does something impactful against Inter. And Loriente for Sassuolo was a big player for them in Serie B. They were lucky to keep a hold of him this summer. Hasn't had the impact yet in Serie A, but he's that type of player. Matic, he's kind of old, but brings some quality and stability in the midfield. Doig, that left back, I'm a fan of him. I don't think his quality, especially enough to play for Inter, but I enjoy watching him. I think he's fun, especially when they play sides that are level on quality as they are. So, not going to say it was an easy game looking into it, especially with the traditional output that we have against Sassuolo, but it's a game that Inter shouldn't have had too big of a problem with. And starts in the fourth minute. Wonderful first touch by Pio to guide the ball to Marcus Thuram. Finds its way back to Pio, and I think he loses it in the box. But then it bounces out, and the recovery by Petr Sucic showed a lot of quality. It was a backhill recovery, and it was absolutely stunning. And it was early in the match, so it was good to see Sucic was lively and there for it today. Found its way to Pio. Pio lost it, but that didn't break Pio's spirits, losing the ball a couple of times early. He did a great job throughout the match holding the ball up, and that's kind of what we've been asking for Pio since coming in for Lautaro the past 2 games. Hold the ball up, find your chance if it presents itself, but mainly hold the ball up, find those wing backs whenever you settle the ball. Find Thuram, lay it off through the midfield, which we'll see eventually on that first goal and everything. And Pio's has done a good job of it. Sucic, I think, looked lively early, like I was just talking about that touch. There was a couple other nice touches that he had early in the match. 6 minute, Carlos Augusto, what a run he had. And this was something, again, we're going to see throughout the match a lot. Augusto in these mazy runs that he produced. And the first one might be the best of all of them. 6 minute, he picks the ball up and completely dribbles through 3 or 4 defenders. I think he picked it up right at about half field and just starts driving right through the defense. No crazy cuts or anything like that. Just running at a defender at speed, touching it past them, and continuing forward. And it was awesome. He ended up getting a corner out of it, and he had a header right off the corner, went out wide, but it was great to see that early sign from Carlos Augusto. At sometimes this year, Alessandro Bastoni, it seems like he hasn't gotten forward into that attacking third as much. It's been more of a when he picks the ball up a little higher up the pitch, he's just sending in crosses. And I mean, he has a hell of a cross, can always pick a good pass and a good cross, really good distribution from him. But Augusto brings something different where he can maybe with speed dribble past some people and add another attacker instead of just sending in balls into the box. So that was really good to see from Carlos Augusto. That run, almost Zanetti-esque, and he had many more runs, at least 2 more runs after this, one leading to a goal that reminded me of Zanetti. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Zanetti was one of one. Those runs that he went on, nobody can replicate. That was a Zanetti trademark, but it was very Zanetti reminiscent, and it was good to see. Very, very positive stuff from Carlos Augusto. If he would have scored that goal with the mazy run through 3 or 4 defenders, it would have been almost like Teo's goal of the season a couple years ago. Like, it was that good of a run from Carlos Augusto. And then in the 14th minute, we get our goal, and it was an absolutely great team goal. Ball comes in, Pio, he's battling with the defender. I don't really remember which defender. It might have been that Indonesian says, I think so you say his name. Battling with him. Somehow, I thought he had lost the ball, but somehow he settles the ball up for Barella, and Barella picks the ball kind of off of him and continues his run forward. Barella then, at which time, finds outside Sucic. Sucic in the box, Sassuolo's box, has the ball, and you could see his mind at work as soon as he gets the ball and picks it up in the box. And that's why I've been calling for since the preseason matches. Sucic should never play regista. Sucic needs to be higher up the pitch. He brings something different. I'm not going to say he's the most creative player or whatever, but he had his composure closer to goal is something different from a lot of the other midfielders that we have. Mkhitaryan, we can see a lot of the times when we criticize him, it's like you do so well to get into that final third, and then when you get to the final third, you just completely shut down, lose the ball. Sucic offers something different, and that's why I liken him to Fabiano Ruiz so much. He brings that kind of quality, especially closer to goal. And you could see when he picks the ball up, it's his motor and his brain is moving, and he's looking and he's trying to figure out what to do. And it's a great movement or great anticipation. I don't really know what you can call it. Great intelligence. That's the word. Great intelligence by Sucic to get the ball, pick it up in that position in the box, and not rush things. He could have literally switched it back over his left foot and tried a snapshot. He could have tried to cross it across the box to see somebody running. I think it was Thuram maybe, with a couple defenders on him and back there, make the keeper work. But he had the intelligence, the patience, the maturity to let the play develop for a split second or two and notice the onrushing DiMarco, and just ever so deftly outside of the boot layoff, he kind of froze the defender with that hesitation and taking that second, which made a huge difference. And then DiMarco with his left foot curler, there was never a doubt when we saw that layoff that Di Marco was going to put it away. And it was a great team goal from Inter. So many people from Pio, Barella, Sucic, Di Marco had an impact in this goal. You can even say Thuram with his running off the ball impacted the goal too. Absolutely brilliant. So up 1-0 early, and Inter looked to be cruising. We had dominated at this point. I mean, there was a lot of good interchanges, not as many crosses. The first couple minutes, there was a lot of crosses into the box, and I had even texted my group message like, God, how many crosses are we going to have again today? But they settled into the match, and within the first 15, 20 minutes, we started interchanging and passing the ball and trying to break this back line down with passes versus just crossing, and hopefully we can latch onto a header. But like I had mentioned earlier, we knew the threat Sassuolo posed from one man, Domenico Berardi. And him in the 18th minute, he had a chance. If you watch Hakan and Sucic from the midfield, both get muscled out. I think Hakan was trying to come in for a tackle to stop a counter, and he lost out. And then Sucic just completely got muscled out of the way. Luckily, nothing came from it. But again, Berardi, he's the guy. He's the danger man for Sassuolo. He's the one we got to look out for. Um, let's see. In the 29th minute, Denzel Dumfries absolutely grown man Doig for Sassuolo. He put him to the ground, showed that strength that we've seen from Dumfries. I would say Dumfries, he had a big goal against Udinese, but since then, other than that, actually, I think it's been a slow start for Denzel Dumfries. He hasn't hit the heights that we've seen towards the end of last season. He's always been a mixed bag. You even hear commentators say that you don't know which Dumfries, you're going to get at what time in the game. And he doesn't look as impactful. It could be as simple as Kivu's tactics, because Inzaghi had towards the end of last season, Dumfries was our main attacking wing back that was providing goals, providing assists, providing the stretch of the field. And DiMarco is providing a lot of that. DiMarco has had a great start to the season. So maybe we're seeing emphasis on, hey, let's not put it all on Dumfries. Let's try to balance both sides. But in the 29th minute, Dumfries, he absolutely grown man's Doig, makes him his son, and lays a through ball to Thuram, who honestly should have done better. Should have been 2-2. It was a great move. Snapshot just wide of the goal. It would have been a really good goal. But that's one, as a striker, we talk about Thuram. Uncle Sharma has mentioned it. You hear from analysts the jokes of Lilian, his father, joking on him and stuff. And he's done a good job of improving it. But to be in that upper elite echelon of strikers, this is a goal probably you should put away. And then I wrote here, we need a second goal. Like, we've seen this script before from Sassuolo, and we'll talk about it more with halftime thoughts, but we needed to get a second goal, especially before halftime, in my opinion, to seal any doubt that this game was going to be an Inter victory. Something of note in the 31st minute, an absolutely stupid tackle by Hakan late, very, very reckless, almost to the point of excessive force. The announcer, the commentator even was like, yellow at a bare minimum. And why even put in a tackle at that point like that? It's the 31st minute. If something had been different and it was a little more difficult impactful of a challenge and more dirty of a challenge, and we're down to 10 men, like, why even put your team in that situation? And this is the thing, Hakan, he played a great game and he's been good for the last couple matches. I mentioned, though, it's been the goal output that has provided the good ratings for Hakan. Defensively, there's something there. And this, that's a lack of concentration, something switching off, a lack of motivation, something. Putting in a tackle like that could really have screwed us for the rest of the match and made this game, it wasn't an easy victory, but it could have made it a lot harder from the 31st minute on. And that's something, I don't know what it is with Hakan this season. He does seem a little switched off. Maybe he's playing his way into form like we've seen. Like I said, he's got the 2 goals, the 2 assists, the last couple games. Maybe it's mentally he's got to play his way into form as well. Because if we get that Hakan that's a mental monster and is switched on, intelligent, defending and attacking, that can only benefit us with the season moving forward. But I just wanted to mention that how dumb of a tackle that was, and it could have been a whole lot worse for Inter. Luckily, we don't have to really worry about it too much. And then in the 39th minute, it was good work by Thuram to find Pio in the middle of the box. He held the ball up well, and somehow he snatched a shot. It was one of those. A lot of people going into the match on Paramount Plus was likening Pio to Luca Toni, and man, that was a Luca Toni-esque. If it would have been a goal, like that was a Luca Toni. I wish he would, after he'd scored, if he would have scored that, done the celebration, because that was 100% Luca Toni reincarnated. And it's good to see Pio doing that. That's what we brought him in, what teams who reportedly were spending 40, $45 million euros on a player who's only 19, the maturity to have that hold up in the box, turn and quick snatch a shot. That is impressive. So bravo, Pio. Halftime, though, after that, going into the half, up 1-0 at Sassuolo at home. Again, want that second goal. Some thoughts. First thought, it was a great team goal, like I mentioned earlier. That's the type of goal I want to see, not a set piece merchant goal, and that's awesome. I wrote Sucic looked in the first half way better than we've seen Mkhitaryan look this season. So that's good. The only thing is Sucic needs to get on that Pio weight room regiment. He loses out into challenges a little too easily a lot of times. He's only 21, so he's still blossoming into his body, growing into himself. But you need to get some strength, put on a little muscle, and I think that will make Sucic a complete player in the midfield for us. Everyone I thought looked up for it. Again, Dumfries might have been the only one that looked a little off the pace of the match. But I think the whole team, in the first half especially, looked up for this match and ready to get 3 points. I wrote, we need a second goal. We've seen this script before, not only with Sassuolo, but anytime Inter in the last year and a half is only up a goal, sometimes even only up 2 goals, as we've seen against Milan in some of the derbies, only up 1 goal, like against Juve. This team mentally breaks down at parts. And if something doesn't go their way, even when up 1 goal, the script doesn't go the way that they thought it was going to go mentally, they just break down and collapse. So we needed to get that second goal to change the script. And then I would love to see Luis Enrique, Boni, and Zelensky moving forward in the second half to shore up everything. Second half, it was kind of a boring start to the second half. The first thing I've written down were the subs that we made. Kivu made the first substitution that he did. We had Luis Enrique coming in for Dumfries, Fretesi in for Hakan, and Lautaro in for Thuram. Lautaro coming in, good to see he's coming back. I'm glad he got some minutes. I didn't want to see him sit the whole match. Getting back into game form, a lot of that is just playing minutes. So good to see Lauti come in, and I was super excited to see Luis Enrique to see what he could do. Early for Enrique, it was like his first touch wasn't the best, but he had a great response after that to get into the game and really show Interisti at home what his game was all about. Luis Enrique took his man on, eventually crossed it over. It was a bad cross, but it found its way to Di Marco, somehow saved it, and it found its way into the box with Pio on a bicycle. And what a save the Sassuolo keeper made to keep out our young Pio Esposito for his first goal. And it would have been an incredible first goal on the bike. Again, got to give shout outs to the Sassuolo keeper for that save. But we're seeing Pio, what he can do, and all he just needs is that first goal, and it's going to come. Hopefully it doesn't take too long, because I know as a young player, you're eager, you want to get that goal, and it can weigh on your psyche a little bit. But the maturity that he has in all assets and facets of his game, I don't think it's going to affect him too much. 76th minute, Carlos Augusto brings the ball forward to Lautaro, who drops it back off for Carlos Augusto. One-touch shoot. So it was like a 1-2 from Carlos Augusto to Lauti, who lays it back off. Augusto with a great shot. And again, that should have been another second goal. We have the Thuram just wide shot in the first half, this Pio bicycle, the Pio snapshot in the first half in the 39th minute, this Carlos Augusto 1-2 with Lautaro. All of those should have been a second shot or second goal for us. And again, like I said, this script, we've seen it how many times. So at this point, 76th minute, when that doesn't go in, us fans at home, the fans at the San Siro, and you got to think even the players at this point in the back of their mind are thinking, what is going on? How do we escape this without not giving up a goal? Like, this is Pazza Inter. This is what our DNA is. How do we solidify and not make this happen? And it's in the back of all of our minds. Kivu brings on Boni for Pio. And then in the 80th minute, finally, we get that second goal we've been looking for. And who is it? The guy that we've mentioned a few times and had a great match. The Brazilian who maybe has struggled at times this season and towards the end of last season. But when he comes on the pitch, he gives 110%. And it's Carlos Augusto again. Again, he dribbles through. It's one of those mazy, like I said, Zanetti-esque dribbles. And he does what nobody else. There were so many times in the game where I'm just like, just shoot the ball. And the players are trying to find that pass where we can just dribble it into the back of the net. Just shoot it. And what does Augusto do? He does the mazy run, finishes it with a shot. Now he's way off balance. He's freaking lunges 3 meters after the shot away from the ball, takes a huge deflection. And sometimes that's what you get when you take shots from outside of the box. You get a deflection and stuff like that, which wrong foots the keeper. And it doesn't matter if how you score. It matters if you score. And he got the second goal, and it was huge. And just like that, it's that second goal that's like, hey, this is what we need. The script is now done. But hold on, not so fast. This is Inter. This isn't, your Napoli under Conte or your Juve under Allegri. This is Inter. We know that this doesn't end the way that we always want it to end. It's Pazza Inter. And what happens in the 83rd minute? The back line completely falls asleep. There's a 1-2 between Shadira and Berardi. Berardi with the brilliant layoff. Acerbi, I don't know who you could blame here. There's literally, you can blame Akanji, Acerbi, and Carlos Augusto, I think. All three of them, the back line, all not on the same page, no communication. A 1-2 like that should not be penetrating the back line, especially at your 18-yard box. And it's an easy goal for Sassuolo. Martinez couldn't have done anything about it. And again, what do I write in all caps here? Pazza Inter. That's it. It doesn't matter who's the coach. It doesn't matter what players we have in. It's the DNA, and it's frustrating, and it makes it where I'm only going to live to be 50 years old because my heart is going to give out before anything. But that's just who we are, and it sucked. But Inter gets the victory. And before we go on to full-time thoughts, some things I saw towards the end of that, after that goal, Luis Enrique, man, Garrincha would have been proud with what he did. And about the 89th, 90th minute, completely toying with the Sassuolo defender. He does the run forward, cut back towards the goal, and then cut back again. And as he's going, he kind of slows up a little bit to give the defender time to catch back up with him after he'd made a fool of him, and does literally the exact same move. And the defender falls for it again. It's, if you've seen YouTube compilations of Garrincha, the Brazilian that played with Pelé in the 50s, and how he toyed with defenders, it was very Garrincha-esque. And then another huge play to end the match, Carlos Augusto off of a long throw, boot up the field, punt from the keeper. I don't remember what it was, but he won the ball and cleared it out of bounds right before the referee blew the whistle from Carlos Augusto. Again, mentally being strong the whole 96 minutes and everything. A true man of the match performance from Carlos Augusto. And Inter comes away with the victory against Sassuolo, a team that it's not always been. The last two times we've played them, we've lost. So big result at the San Siro, especially with Juve drawing against Verona the day before. And Kivu's got to feel happy with the guys. Some full-time thoughts. It's a Pazza DNA. That's just something, if you're new to watching Inter or you've been a fan for a long time, it's something that you know is going to be almost every match. It's not going to be easy unless we play Atalanta. Then it's going to be 4 or 5 goals put past them, and we can relax. Carlos Augusto, man of the match. He needs to get more minutes. I know DiMarco has had a great start of the season. Bastoni is a pillar in this side. But Carlos Augusto, he brings that Lautaro-like effort. He has the ability, like I've said on these runs, these mazy runs that he can do that brings something different than Bastoni brings. And he's a more, in theory, a better defender than DiMarco. We've got to get him more minutes into the game. DiMarco usually only has about 60, 70 minutes. I mean, he has played a few times this season, a full 90, I think this match included. But we got to get Augusto. We got to find him more minutes. He's a player that I think can benefit from a good run of games and can really help the squad. So Grande Augusto, it was a true man of the match performance, like I said. His runs, his defending, his clearances, just everything, the passion he gives. I'm a big fan of Augusto, and I want to see him get more minutes. That's probably the jersey I'm going to get this year, between him or Denzel Dumfries. But I really, really like Carlos Augusto, and I want to see him get more minutes. I thought Pep Martinez came in and did really well in Sommer's absence, made some really good saves. I thought his distribution was a little shaky sometimes, maybe not shaky, but hit or miss. He would have a couple really, really class balls out of the back, and then a couple that just didn't come off or didn't seem right. Sometimes it was like the ones that looked like they would be more difficult to do, they came off, and then the easier ones are the ones that looked not right. So he gets the distribution correct or shores that up slightly. It wasn't bad, but if he shores that up slightly, it would be nice to see him get a run of games as well. Çalhanoğlu, I think, looked great. I think Pio looked great. Again, Chala, that tackle was really the only dark spot of the match that I saw from him. But his defending this game was a lot better than usual, or a lot better than it's been the past couple games. And he's continued that threat attacking wise. He was spraying balls. He was moving the ball a lot quicker too. Our tempo, especially in the first half, was a lot quicker. That's a lot to do with Çalhanoğlu. We got to shore up that defense. This should have been a game where we came away with a clean sheet. And again, it's a switch off mentally just for a couple seconds each game. It seems like that leads to a goal. And if we could shore that up, man, we have something, because I think Akanji's played great the past couple games. We got Bastoni and DiMarco, or sorry, Augusto. We need to figure out which between Acerbi and De Vrij is going to be the one that needs to be the first on the team sheet. And so far, we've only seen De Vrij really once. Acerbi hasn't done much to inspire that it's him. So maybe we need to give De Vrij more of that run a chance and see. And it sucks because I'm a big Acerbi fan, but this season it just hasn't looked like the Acerbi that we know. We got to get a winning streak going. We have Slavia and Cagliari next, and then I think after that we have Cremonese. So definitely an easy run of 3 games, hopefully there for Inter to bring a winning streak of 5 potentially, and that will bring the confidence and put pressure on other teams. So it's a double-edged sword there. Bring confidence within the team and maybe unnerve a Napoli or a Juve or Milan, who's starting to really come into their form too. And hopefully it leads to a better run of form for the team overall. Guys, that's going to pretty much wrap it up. Again, man of the match performance, Carlos Augusto. Big 2-1 victory against Sassuolo, a team we traditionally struggle with. And all in all, a good performance, I think. Other than that, you guys let me know in the comments some things that you saw, some things maybe that I missed, maybe some things you disagree with what I said, and let's get a dialogue going. Anything else besides that, just let me know. You can message me, email me, whatever. As always, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and as always as well, Forza Inter.